Now, you're lucky I'm here. Okay? You're lucky I'm here after what you did to me last time.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He trolled you.
No, like hard as hell. Okay? But I've decided, you know what? Our friendship is stronger than your mistake.
Ooh.
Okay? I have decided to be magnanimous.
Right.
And I have decided I'm going to forgive you for intentionally inflicting distress upon me and my spirit.
Do you even know who Harambe is?
Yeah, it's the gorilla and he died.
So no, you have no idea what the Harambe story is. Harambe is not just a gorilla that died. It's a movement. There's Harambe in people's soul. I played Overwatch after Harambe died just to show respect. You know what I did? I didn't drink any Kool-Aid. I drank Tang.
Okay. All right. What up, Ho Biscuits? It's your girl, Skitten, back at it again. We're gonna give Casual another chance.
Yeah.
He's talking about Harambe. What I know about Harambe is that a lot more people voted for him than should have in that election.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah.
And I also hope that I'm explaining this video by a trustworthy source why Harambe had to die, because I actually still don't get it.
Yeah.
I still don't understand the reason why.
Yeah. Well, we trust Casual.
Yeah.
So we gonna let him guide us, even though I don't know, my trust in you's a little.
Imagine there's just whales in here for no reason. He just splices. That's all I've been thinking about the whole time. I was like, how's he gonna put whales in the monkey video?
Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are staying safe and sanitized. I'm super excited to see what this video has in store for us. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
If you want to inflict emotional damage on a millennial, remind them that the Harambe kid either is or is about to be a teenager. In a couple of months, it'll be a year short of a decade since the gorilla was prematurely perp-walked off the census. And despite being named after a Swahili term for coming together, Harambe's death has been no less divisive. But the closer you get to the full story, with crucial context, the question becomes less of whether the zoo was right for turning the legacy of Bob Marley into a hashtag, and more of everything that went wrong to force the zoo to pull the trigger. Turning the legacy of Bob Marley into a hashtag, and more of everything that went wrong to force the zoo to pull the trigger. Because Harambe's death was the right choice for the wrong reasons. Now hear me out, I'm not blaming the gorilla, in fact quite the opposite. Literally everyone involved but the gorilla ultimately failed him. And in about 10 minutes, I'm gonna show you just how horrendous Harambe got done. The same 10 minutes it took for them to end him. Flashback to 2016. Eggs were $1.68, a light skin in Under Armours was no-scoping entire teams. Kanye was still Kanye.
He was still Kanye.
And he may graduate. All was good until the 3-year-old canon event changed the course of mankind. On May 28, 2016, a mother took 4 children to the Cincinnati Zoo and got to the gorilla world habitat when the youngest boy said he wanted to go swimming with the gorillas. She went back and forth with him and then turned around to start putting kids in strollers when she heard a splash, followed by immediate screaming. Like any other human, she went to the railing, and that's when her mind took an indelible screenshot when she realized.
Cincinnati 911. Hi, my son fell in the zoo exhibit at the gorilla. There's a male gorilla standing over him. I need someone to contact the zoo, please. He's dragging my son. I can't watch this.
Man, that was bone chilling, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The panic in her voice was so real to me.
Yeah.
Like, with how ridiculous the situation is.
I know.
It's like, none of it matters when you have to make that call and give those descriptions.
Because what do you say?
She has to look at it and see what's going on.
Yeah.
You literally are too horrified to look away. I'm so glad that everybody made it out of this okay, you know?
Not everybody.
Everybody. Not every monkey. I'd have said that.
In an unfortunate case of free will, the 3-year-old climbed the 3-foot fence, army crawled through 4 feet of bush, and before anyone could grab him and save the timeline, he fell 15 feet straight into the gorilla mode.
First of all, put that little nigga in the Marines. How did he do that? How? Like, I understand, right, that children have freakish grip strength. But how did he do that? You have some sort of superhuman baby? You
I
have
was
some
just
sort
kind
of
of hoping there was
baby?
like a video maybe that would show up. You got like a CCTV?
No, I don't think so, my love.
Are those things unmonitored by cameras?
I just don't think we have the footage.
Well, get the footage,
I don't
goddamn.
think that's public footage.
Go get the footage. I thought it was coming up. It's not coming up.
Got a little Viltrumite baby.
Jesus Christ.
It's a reference to my CJ the Champ video.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it,
He
go watch
punts the
it.
baby, so my wife likes it.
He didn't. Oh my god.
He did, actually.
He did punt the baby.
Where he was confronted by 450 pounds of adult primate.
Yeah.
Harambe didn't seem especially aggressive, but watching him ragdoll the
He
toddler
did,
likely
fuck-
took years off his mother's
Yeah.
life. No one could say what was going through the gorilla's mind at the time. But we know what went last, because at about 4:10 p.m., about 10 minutes after the boy fell in, a member of the Cincinnati Zoo Dangerous Animal Response Team life-retired Harambe
That's
with
so
a bullet to the head. And life as we knew it was never the same.
It really
The
wasn't.
slain simian was mourned by millions, and memed by even more, to the point where there are people who use their right to
I'm
vote on the
tired.
corpse of a
They-
king
Yes.
gorilla, and that is the
did.
most political statement that will ever come out of this
Honestly.
channel. But before we can judge what had to be an impossible decision, it's only fair to look at every angle, starting with the nature of gorillas. Gorillas aren't the menaces to society and skyscrapers we thought they were. Male gorillas are way more child-friendly than the average orang and chimpanzee. It's been said that the males that babysit more are considered more attractive to a tribe of hairy women. That's how
Yeah.
they got their name. And being good with kids is more of a turn-on than size, strength, or status. It's proven that
said
guy
stop
gorillas
it.
on daycare duty will have 5 times as many children as those that avoid it, which is probably why they fight so hard for custody. You've never seen a gorilla hit the burners like that.
But see, I hadn't seen that clip before I heard about Harambe.
Yeah.
I remember the initial feeling was, well, they had to do it because of the interaction, and that's just what happens. And people live in a weird world now, but people still put down dogs for biting people
Right.
to this day.
Yeah.
That happens. Like, I just heard of a lady whose pit bull got slapped through a fence. The pit bull bit the kid because that's what they do.
Right.
And the dog's dead today.
Yeah.
They put the dog down already.
Yep.
So I kind of understand that part, but I don't really understand it at the same time.
But gorillas don't need Maury. They'll even step up for children that aren't theirs. A couple years back, the alpha gorilla
I
of a
didn't know
group
that.
in Rwanda got sick, and since in sickness and in health is a human construct, the 4 gorillas of the group left,
They said,
abandoning
"I'm
not just their
outie,
baby
bro."
daddy, but their progeny as well.
I'm
With the
crying.
infants
That
barely
makes
old
sense.
enough to feed themselves, it should have been curtains. But this story had a plot twist. The sick
That's so
male had
cute,
a
it looks
brother,
fake.
Kubaha, and Unc stepped up and looked after them.
Let's
They'd sleep
go.
in his nest, treat him like a literal jungle gym, and he single-handedly kept the next generation up. And Kubaha wasn't an anomaly. In 53 years of gorilla research, it's proven that orphan mountain gorillas that lose their mothers early on don't have a greater risk of becoming a statistic because the males will often step in.
Nice.
Not only did a different study show the exact opposite happens to baby chimps, monkeys, and baboons that get the Bambi treatment, even if they do survive, they inherit 0 social rank and
Right.
virtually no chance at having children. It's the same
Yeah.
story for animals like elephants, orcas, and hyenas. Being motherless is social cyanide.
I was ignoring it.
You're scared of the claymation one too, you
No,
loser?
I'm not. Jesus. For the record,
Huh.
I'm not entertaining any debates about whether or not it's reasonable that I'm afraid of whales.
Oh, you putting your foot down?
It's not necessary. We all know what the situation is.
It's a phobia.
Just let's just
Yeah.
move forward and move on. I watched the video.
You
like
did
as
watch
mad
the
as
video.
y'all are about me
Yeah.
being afraid of whales, I watched the entire video.
You did actually do that.
Yeah. And also, you guys don't have to argue with people who are being rude about my phone. It's fine. It's okay. I will simply block them. We will move on. And we will be happy ho
Mute,
biscuits.
actually. What we do, we don't block you. We just put you in purgatory. So you
Yeah.
leave comments, but they just never show
You're
up.
screaming into the void.
I find that very entertaining.
My
so.
parents never loved me.
Hail away, young
The girl
Padawan.
that I like always chooses somebody else.
I told her to do
My
it.
feet stink and I don't know why.
Right.
Like,
We're going to hide your shoes inside your hot car in Vegas. It will stink when you get back out there. Remember, it's 99.9% of all germs. You weren't one of them. That's a good one, huh?
anyway, moving
Yeah.
on.
But not gorillas. Having one mom short of a full house, has 0 effect on their social status, and it's
Gorillas.
believed that since mama gorillas often dip out before their babies mature, the males have evolved to cushion the blow. Plus, with chimpanzees murking monkeys, bush
Oh my-
babies,
oh my
That's
bush
God.
crazy.
and even doikers for food, and even the good vibes tree hippie known to turn lorises into lunch
Mm-hmm.
meat, gorillas pretty much being knuckle-walking lawnmowers probably doesn't hurt Harambe's case. Gorillas go out of their way to avoid conflict, and you really won't see them beating on something weaker than they are, unless they did something to deserve it.
Right.
But there's always a but. The rules of nature often
Yeah.
change when you're talking about captivity.
Yeah.
A wild orca has apparently never depulsed a person, but those confined to a glorified fishbowl have a body count. Pandas normally mate, date, and procreate no
That's
less than
crazy.
the average black bear. But those in captivity often get less play than Helen Keller's Spotify.
Right.
In captivity, mother gorillas will often reject their own babies, and it happens a lot more than you would think, so maybe the parental instinct doesn't apply as much to a gorilla behind the glass. Yeah, no, because if I had a nickel for every time someone's son ended up in a gorilla enclosure, I'd already have 2 nickels by the time player number 3 decided to keep the tradition alive and airdrop himself to the gorilla karate. On August 16th, 1996, another 3-year-old fell nearly 24 feet into the Brookfield Zoo gorilla exhibit. In a scene you've definitely seen before, 8-year-old Binti Dua climbed down to the boy, cradled him in her gorilla arms for nearly 60 feet, and gently placed him at the employee entrance where officials could get him.
Wow.
See, that video is very haunting to me just because of how limp the baby is.
Yeah.
Like that baby looks dead.
And the monkey's like, you can have this back. I don't have any interest.
I don't actually want this.
I don't want it. And it's not as much fun as it was when it was up there. So this baby sucks.
Yeah. It's like when your parents got you the freaking knockoff Barbie, not the actual Barbie, and you're just like, I don't want this.
Damn.
I wanted the real Barbie.
Damn. Yeah.
Actually, in my case, it was I got the knockoff for real puppy, not the real for real puppy. So first of all, it didn't look real like the fur real puppy did.
Mm-hmm.
And then also it couldn't do all of the shit that the fur real puppy could do.
So, like you said that, there's 2 good instances. One, the fake electronic dog instead of the Furby.
Yeah.
Way better.
Okay.
And the fake tech decks.
Those were better.
Oh my, you got way more.
Yeah.
I couldn't actually do the little moves. I just wanted the little skateboards. So I got like 15 of those freaking things.
Oh, and fake Hot Wheels are fine too. Like,
yeah.
Like there's not really any difference between them and real Hot Wheels. I know. Like I just said that, and somebody's gonna be like, actually, Skitten, the real Hot Wheels.
Oh, wait a minute. Whoa.
I don't care.
I do. Let me know what the difference is, because I have no idea. I have a fake Beyblade over there right now.
Hell yeah.
Why shouldn't I use it?
Might not know was that Binti was one of those gorillas rejected by her mother and was hand-raised by humans. Part of this raising meant her caretakers had to train her to be a mother once she became pregnant with the same baby riding shotgun while she rescued the boy.
That's a crazy
Part of this training
lore.
included handing off her baby to staff for checkups. So there was low-key an argument as to whether this was an actual gorilla guardian angel or just an animal doing what it had been trained. Well, almost a decade earlier in 1986, 5-year-old Levin Merritt followed the same script, falling into the gorilla pit and knocking himself all the way out. And 25-year-old Yumbo stood protectively over the boy, gatekeeping any other gorilla from him, and when the child regained consciousness and cried out, instead of matching his energy, the silverback calmly led his family to a small hut on the other side of the enclosure. But unlike Binti, Yumbo wasn't human-raised or trained in child care. This was actual gorilla free will that looked after the injured kid. So now you might be confused, because if you were on the fence on the Harambe happening, hearing about their social psychology and the gorilla history lesson would have surely kicked you onto the Harambe side.
So explain me.
Well, every gorilla is different. So let's talk about the story of Harambe. You know, before he became a hashtag. Harambe was born in the Gladys Porter Zoo in Brownsville, Texas, May 27th, 1999. He was born in the...
Look at his little feet.
Yeah.
Look at his little feet fingers.
That's what my cousin's feet look like.
No, why your cousin catch a strike? What'd your cousin do?
And he knows which one, too. That's what's funny.
You don't deserve that.
Crusty and everything.
Oh, my God.
Gladys Porter Zoo in Brownsville, Texas, May 27th, 1999, meaning he had just turned 17 when he got sniped. Just like Binti, he was also rejected by his mother Kayla when he was only 3 weeks old. So, zoo director Jerry Stone hand-raised Harambe, taking him home. The tiny gorilla was by all means his family. Jerry was actually the one to help Harambe's grandparents settle in after they arrived from Africa, and he was even there at Harambe's birth, cutting the umbilical cord. He changed diapers, got up at midnight to feed him. Nobody had put in more Harambe hours than Jerry. Jerry described him as a lovable troublemaker. He'd do things like throw water at female keepers and run away. He'd steal blankets just to give keepers an excuse to chase him. He'd even climb walls to get his keepers' attention just so he could fall backwards and make them catch him. By every account, Harambe meant well, but there was a point where Jerry stopped getting in the cage with him. Not because he was aggressive, but as he got bigger and stronger, there was a legitimate chance he could accidentally roughhouse Stone into eternal submission. But Jerry also noted that Harambe always looked after his siblings, fully embracing the big brother role. But on January 6th, 2002, before Harambe was even 3, someone left chlorine cleaning tablets way too close to a space heater, causing a leak of toxic chlorine gas that suffocated the gorillas. Zookeepers immediately called EMTs, and by administering oxygen, they were able to revive 8 of the gorillas. But there were 3 that never woke up. Harambe's mother, brother, and sister. Yeah, Harambe got hoed by humanity long before Cincinnati.
So
Speaking of which, almost 10 years later, in 2014, Harambe was now 15, and time came for him to be relocated to hopefully start his own troupe. Jerry actually pushed for Harambe to be sent to Cincinnati. That way he could contribute to their breeding program. And in September, the gorilla named after a Bob Marley song was transferred to the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden. And less than 2 years later, he would exist only as a statue.
That's so sad.
So there, now you have more background information than 90% of anyone who's given their opinion. Everything so far points against Harambe being a threat to the toddler, yet experts like Jane Goodall, Jack Hanna, and primatologist Franz de Waal all seem to agree the zoo made the right choice. And I'm with them. Harambe had to die. But why? Basically, it was the best of a bad situation. A lot of people say tranquilizers, but tranks don't work the same way they do on TV. It can take 10 minutes to take effect.
That's what it
when
was,
the
the
animals turned up.
tranquilizer.
There was a story of 2 polar bears wandering too close to town in Churchill, Manitoba, and the first bear was slept and put in polar bear jail. Yes. But the second bear had no reaction to the same trank. If anything, it probably made him mad. But the real reason tranquilizing wasn't an option, this is Cha-Cha the chimp. Cha-Cha went full Caesar and escaped the Yagiyama Zoo in Japan. And I want you to see what happened the moment he got darted. That man was a second away from becoming an Instagrammer. Animals don't understand the concept of anesthesia, but they do understand getting shot in the back. And in those 10 minutes to take effect, Harambe could have been the most dangerous gorilla outside of Hollywood.
God, okay, all right.
Yeah, but
all right, my guy.
That's right, but I forgot about that. He might not have just let you easily take the kid away.
Right.
And with the strength of Harambe, a little tug can go a long way.
Yeah.
You know, in comparison to how tough their babies are versus how tough human babies are. And one of the problems with strength is how easy it looks.
Yeah.
You know, just like when you're really good at spreadsheets. That can't be that hard. You get home, the shit's impossible.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like you know, it's like how tasers don't always work.
Right.
Right? Like cops will tase somebody and the guy is still coming at them.
Jeff can't be tased. Jeff's untasable.
Really?
Yeah, no movement at all. But he's a weirdo anyway, so that's okay.
I was going to say he's nuts.
Yeah.
Though, so, hi, Jeff. Love you. That also reminds me of how I told you, and this is still true, by the way, that I would like to become untasable. And so for the longest time, I thought the best way to do that was just to get like tased over and over and over again.
Which technically that might be, but you might lose something in the process. Right.
But like, I still would like to become untasable. So if anybody has any tips on how to do that,
you can keep them to yourself. All right, so let's get into it. But yeah, I forgot about that.
The next option would have been trying to have the keeper rescue the kid while distracting Harambe. But here's the thing. The moment the kid fell in, zoo officials signaled for all the gorillas to come inside. The 2 females complied, but Harambe
did not.
He was also using free will. Clearly he wasn't in the mood to cooperate. The last argument is that Harambe wasn't hurting the kid. In fact, it looks like he was protecting him. I actually agree. I think the father instinct was doing a lot of heavy lifting, but here's the thing. Harambe was a 450-pound immature teenager who never had a kid or was trained for it. He could have killed that kid completely by accident.
Yeah,
this isn't 25-year-old Yambo. Young gorillas play rough, and one hard pull could rip his arm out of the socket. Too hard of a drag could bash the 3-year-old's head against a rock. Also, Harambe was clearly stressed out. The situation wasn't stressful. The little boy freaking out and screaming, suddenly running away, or even just looking Harambe in the eye could have been enough to light the fuse. Speaking of time, don't forget, that kid was in gorilla custody for 10 minutes. Might not seem like much to you, but let it be your bloodline. 10 minutes will feel like and cost you 10 years. Now, what they should have done, in my non-professional online opinion, was get anyone who wasn't a keeper, paramedic, or zoo vet, get him out of there, form a perimeter, something. I feel like all this could have been avoided if you didn't have a whole coliseum yelling at my man. Silent game would have been golden, but at that point, it was too late for all that. And so the last option meant erasing an endangered species and future father. I don't like it, you don't like it, nobody's happy, but let's be real. Think about what the conversation would be if that kid became a chalk outline right.
But, you know, think about, you know, he's talking about making a perimeter. That's way harder than people realize.
Yeah.
It's super difficult to get an agitated group of people away from an area. Also, screaming mothers to not scream.
I was going to say, good luck getting his mom to 1, shut the fuck up, and 2, leave. Right. Good luck.
Stop looking at the baby. And she's the one who had to call 911, right? So, like, it's just way harder than you guys think. Personnel. I mean, it's just not practical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very unfortunate, but yeah, I do remember that.
I can tell you, because it's happened. November 4th, 2012, Pittsburgh Zoo.
What?
Mother lifts her
It's so
2-year-old
recent.
over the railing for a better view. Mother ignores several warnings and signs. Mother somehow lets child slip, and Maddox Durkosh fell, bounced off a safety net meant only for phones and cameras, and touches earth inside the enclosure. Problem
Damn.
was, the toddler landed with the African wild dogs.
No. I don't want to know.
Take your earbud out. I'm enthralled.
The most efficient pack hunters in Africa, the ones infamous for turning body to buffet before it can pass away. Look, I can spare you the details, just know it was quick, it was gruesome, and there was nothing anyone could do. The Durkoshes would file a wrongful death lawsuit against the zoo, seeking $300,000 because you can't put a price on life, but you can pay a lawyer to try. The family and the zoo would reach a confidential settlement. The endangered dogs were all relocated, except for the one shot by cops, and the entire exhibit was repurposed for another endangered African predator, the cheetah. You know, for the longest, I thought the zoo got screwed, but what I never knew was that in May of the same year, some of the same wild dogs dug out of their den and got the entire zoo put on lockdown.
Damn!
As early as 2007, a member of the zoo safety committee explicitly warned of guests dangling children over the exhibit opening and advised them to install
Lord.
plexiglass to cover it. But no changes were made until a kid got eviscerated 5 years later. Now, don't think I'm letting the mom off. I got a lot of thoughts.
Right.
And they're all explicit.
Yeah.
But the zoo was liable and negligent, and it cost them and the dogs. Even though common sense would have saved the day. But common sense would have been a godsend on Christmas Day, 2007, San Francisco
There are
Zoo.
so
Look, we've all heard
many
the story
incidents.
of Tatiana the venge-lusting tiger, so here's what we know. 3 guys, 17-year-old Carlos Sousa Jr.
I
and the
remember
19
this.
to 23-year-old Dullywell brothers taunted
Yeah.
a Siberian tiger.
They
Pine
sure
cones and
did.
sticks were likely thrown at the tiger. The brother's father admitted that the boys were drunk. Tatiana escaped,
Yep.
murked Sousa, and mauled the brothers until she was eventually shot by cops.
Yep.
And the Dullywell family settled a suit against the zoo for $900,000, and the Sousa family settled a wrongful death suit for an undisclosed amount. And both brothers would use their second chance at life to get into several run-ins with the law, one including
God
a drunken
damn.
fight with police, and the younger brother would pass away in 2012 due to unknown causes.
That's
Yeah.
By
crazy.
every metric, they f***ed around and found out, and the 2 that lived came up almost $1 million off it. But 2 things can be true. The zoo screwed up bad because days after the attack, they said the moat Tatiana had escaped from was at least 20 feet tall. Turns out it was 12 and a half. A full 4 feet lower than
I was
federal
gonna say,
safety
yeah,
standards.
that's
And if
not
you know tigers,
high
that
enough
is
at all.
one
Right.
fuck of an oopsie. But also, after killing Sousa, Tatiana tracked the brothers down. But because cafe employees refused to let the 2 in, the Siberian Fury pulled up outside the cafe and mauled them again.
They didn't
Wait a-
let them in.
Wait a second.
They did.
Wait a second. It was a 2-for-1 special. There was a chicken wing and a thigh. He got the first course and the dessert.
What do you mean?
He tracked them down and got them twice, and they said, "Boy, you ain't y'all did that, not us."
They said we don't believe in collective punishment here.
Give me a list of names that wouldn't let them in. I will invite them to the zombie apocalypse because they won't open the door.
Fuck yeah.
Your
actually.
ass went in the motherfucker and you played around and got scratched. It's done so, baby.
That's my mom. You want to go with her? You could go with her.
It's an exit only today. And of course, it's a tragedy.
Yes.
You got it. But that was a while ago and I don't know them. I'm just focusing on the positives.
I mean, but also that's crazy. Like you saw these guys begging and you weren't like yet coming like.
Hey, said, bro, what happens if they come through and then it's the rest of us?
Yep.
Damn, that's crazy.
It took 6 full minutes for zoo employees to realize that the brothers weren't drunk idiots screaming. They were drunk idiots screaming, but not lying about a tiger John Wicking them. And
Yeah.
because the zoo was under a Code 1
God
lockdown,
damn.
it took another 5 minutes for zoo security to let police and fire units in. Those extra 10 minutes mean a lot when you're actively getting turned out by a tiger. And it probably would have saved Sousa's life. 2 things can be true.
Yeah.
Tweedledee, Dim, and Dumbass pissed off an apex predator and earned themselves a nomination for a Darwin Award while getting an endangered species past tense in the process.
Yeah.
But the zoo was also painfully negligent in every aspect, especially since just a year before, keeper Lori
Oh my
Cummingen
God.
was mauled by the same tiger while feeding her through the enclosure's grill, and
Damn.
Tatiana's temper tore the skin off her arm, resulting in several surgeries, skin grafts, and California OSHA fining the zoo for safety violations.
What?
Lori would also sue and would also settle for an undisclosed amount. And after Tatiana's final act, the zoo would raise the barrier from 12 and a half to 19 feet. So you see, the zoo and Harambe were screwed the moment someone spawned into his enclosure.
Yeah.
And really, Harambe was dead the moment he chose free will. In fact, if that child would have died, Harambe certainly would have been past tense. All the gorillas might have been packed out, and the zoo would have been sued beyond oblivion. The zoo would modify Gorilla World by raising the outer barrier and loading up on netting and fencing. But the real victims here were Harambe, the child, and gorillas as a whole. And as much as I want to dump on the mom, well, the internet's kind of done that already, but kids are walking kamikazes. Yeah. Not excusing it, because damn it, watch your crotch and the things that come out. But you don't think a kid will, till they do. And mama, I love you, I really do. But when I was about knee high, my mom turned away for a second at the park. And when she turned back, she saw me on the other side of the pond leaning in. And if both my parents didn't go Usain Bolt and catch me before I fell in, well, we know how that story ends. I also almost got kidnapped. And I only say that now because my mother never lets me forget it. But yeah, let's go and do it. Drink water, hug your mother, hold your kids. They're stupid. Rest in primate Harambe. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.
Beautiful vid. It's definitely a lot to cover in one video.
Waiting for this day, and it has finally arrived. We have the winner of our contest. It's the Naming the Baby with the Gladys Porter Zoo, and it's the baby gorilla. And we've got the baby gorilla right there, Dan. That's the child you just named. There's Harambe. Harambe is her name. Once again, what does it mean again?
It means pulling together, coming together, sharing and caring.
That's sad.
What a legacy and what a name, right? What a legacy and what a name. A lot to cover in this video, but that's why I originally didn't join in on the kid getting through and the, get him in the Marines, because it's accurate. Some kids just are athletic, and it's like, it's a joke, but it's so true. Some kids you just don't realize. I was at the park with my niece and nephew. And this girl and her brother, same age. The girl's like a year younger than her brother. They're both in basketball together and the same age. They're in the jungle gym climbing. She's got her legs on the thing, hanging upside down, just doing sit-ups. She flips around, does pull-ups. She climbs the rest of the way up. Her brother can't even get up the step. He's just like, I can't. How did you get up there? She's cracking up. She's hanging out in one hand. And I'm like, some kids just be doing that stuff.
And she had 4 of them.
Imagine you got 4 kids and you got one athlete. They take off before you realize it. They're gone. And sometimes as a parent, you have baby in your hand. You can't just do other stuff.
I can't drop baby to get baby.
I got one kid running that way, one kid running that way. It happens. We know it happens. These enclosures, though, are so terribly underfunded. They're so terribly under-tested, right? So you don't want to stress test this kind of stuff. And building things to code only matter when you update it. So if it was built out of code, it doesn't get into code till you update it. And that's just the realistic. Any closing thoughts from you on this?
This is why I support baby leashes, and I don't understand why people are against baby leashes. Put the baby on a leash. Put the baby on a leash.
So when you kick it, it comes back to you.
You're so stupid.
Boing, boing. Any other? Sorry, I apologize.
That's not what I said.
I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for joining.
Thank you guys for watching that. R.I.P. to Harambe. I like he said in the video, this is way more context than anybody had back then. And I appreciate the context as well. But it is one of those things where it was a lose-lose situation regardless. And at the end of the day, you do have to protect the baby. Mom's irresponsibility or notwithstanding, the baby cannot be punished for that,
but
right?
We're here now.
Yeah,
right.
So, but thank you guys so much for watching. He did sneak that orca in there, but it's okay. I'm gonna let it slide. I'm gonna let it go. Don't forget to leave your reaction requests and recommendations down in the comments below. And other than that, peace out, hope biscuits. It's Skittin' Lit.